Hi, everyone. Sometimes those in the public eye are beyond clueless, and here we have a case of our favorite pair who fit the bill every time. We're going into the joke that came from Saturday Night Live that made a mockery of Meghan and Harry. Hollywood thrives on redemption stories, but that requires something Meghan and Harry have yet to demonstrate: humility. Every public appearance reinforced the same narrative. We've been misunderstood, we've been wronged, we're still the victims. But the audiences reached their limit. They didn't ask for another tell-all or exclusive interview. They wanted some silence. Because real redemption doesn't come from podcasts or primetime specials. It comes from stepping back, from reflection, from letting time do its work. And that's the one thing that Meghan and Harry seemed unable to do. Here's the brutal irony. The same media machine that once elevated them to near mythic status ended up being the force that dismantled their image. And the comedy? It's just reflected what the public already felt: disappointment, exhaustion, disbelief that two people with extraordinary privilege continued to cast themselves as underdogs. Stay tuned to see how Colin Jost raked them over the coals and had us howling in laughter.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H. What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
And he'll say M and you'll say H and your friends say M and it just is a thing.
It's a thing.
And do you both love it?
Yes, and I like nicknames a lot.
See, I didn't know who H was. At the time, I just loved his Insta feed. And, you know, I was living in the middle of nowhere in Toronto, Canada. And I didn't even really know the word royal. I mean, besides the Lord song. I love that song. It's an amazing pop rock ballad.
Elon built electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why isn't he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
The American hussies he's hooked up with. She's come to turn him into a Kardashian. That little American hussy has ruined my prince.
Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things after 6 episodes. I wanted to attack them.
Oh my God, I can't even. These two, Meghan and Harry, are the worst.
Now, the Sussexes have copped it from comedian Colin Jost on Saturday Night Live. He's joked that one of the conditions of Trump's new trade deal with the UK is that Harry and Meghan have to go back. It's pretty cruel, Kinsey.
If you came up with the picture of an annoying, insufferable white woman, it would be Meghan Markle, even though she's not white.
The irony is earth-shattering, isn't it? Harry and Meghan are the Duke and Duchess of gaslighting themselves. The entire show is a cynical attempt to manipulate viewers into questioning their own recollections of reality. And if we learned anything at all from the first 3 hours of this $100 million wine-a-thon, it's surely that this dismal duo wouldn't know the truth if it smacked them around their smug chops.
They're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know.
It only took one joke, one punchline, one casual roast on live television to shatter the illusion that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry had spent years carefully constructing. They were once royalty, not just in blood, but in the eyes of the world. The brave rebels who walked away from a centuries-old institution, choosing love and freedom over crowns and protocol. But now, they're punchlines. And it all started with a single line from Colin Jost on Saturday Night Live. You probably laughed. Millions did. But what most people didn't realize in that moment was this: the tide had officially turned. This wasn't just comedy. This was the collapse of a public image in real time.
Prince Harry, though, has become the punchline of a Saturday Night Live joke. Let's have a look.
NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
Saturday Night Live has always had bite. But when it turned its attention to Harry and Meghan, the tone wasn't playful, it was cutting. But that line hit like a wrecking ball. Because for the first time on mainstream TV, the royal fairy tale was being called what many people were already thinking: ridiculous. There were no protests, no backlash, no social media meltdowns, just laughter. Because the public wasn't shocked, they were relieved. Someone had finally said it out loud. The reason the joke landed so hard was simple. It was true. Meghan and Harry had spent years telling the world they wanted privacy, that they were fleeing a cruel institution and an even crueler media. But then came the Oprah interview, the Spotify podcast, the Netflix docuseries, book deals, public speeches, branded lifestyle products. Everywhere you looked, there they were, speaking out, cashing in. It wasn't privacy they wanted, it was control, the right to curate every headline, to own the narrative without ever facing contradiction. But SNL didn't play along. Colin Jost didn't pull punches. And for millions watching, it was a refreshing moment of honesty in a sea of spin. Once that wall cracked, it completely collapsed. Jimmy Kimmel followed suit, mocking their endless, "we just want to be normal" media tour. Chris Rock took the gloves off in a viral Netflix stand-up special, sarcastically asking, "You didn't Google the royal family? That's like not Googling the Kardashians." Tim Dillon, never one to hold back, labeled them Hollywood grifters in royal cosplay. And none of it was met with outrage. There were no trending hashtags to defend them, because somewhere along the way, the public had stopped seeing them as victims and started seeing them as opportunists. Tim Dillon, never one to hold back, labeled them Hollywood grifters in royal cosplay. And none of it was met with outrage. There were no trending hashtags to defend them. Because somewhere along the way, the public had stopped seeing them as victims and started seeing them as opportunists. But it didn't stop there. Even comedians who had once avoided royal material suddenly found themselves unable to resist. What used to be sacred ground, mocking the royals, was now free real estate for punchlines. Why? Because Meghan and Harry had rewritten the rules themselves. By dragging private royal matters into public forums, by turning family trauma into branded content, they gave comedians open season. And when they responded, if at all, it wasn't with grace. It was with carefully worded statements, passive-aggressive PR blurbs, and thin-skinned silence. That only made it worse. The internet could smell the defensiveness. And nothing fuels comedy quite like a subject who takes themselves too seriously.
The Prince now dipping his arms into the pudding, as is tradition. Princess will of course scrape the pudding off the princess's arms, thus symbolizing their union. What a glorious day for our country and indeed the Welsh.
Yes, that's right, friend. You see, my wife and I are totally like, you should write a book because your family like stupid and then so are like journalists.
Hey.
Did you know it's cold in there?
Yeah.
Must be an American thing.
It's not.
But wait, watch this. Amazing, right? This might be the smallest palace I've ever been in.
An apartment, so.
Yes, an apartment palace, I know that.
Then came the animated takedowns. South Park launched its most brutal episode in years, the Worldwide Privacy Tour. Harry and Meghan were portrayed as loud, whiny influencers screaming, "We want privacy," while parading around talk shows, red carpets, and social media. The parody was scathing, and it went viral overnight. Family Guy chimed in next, mocking Harry for trading castles for clout. These weren't niche attacks. They were mainstream, global, and impossible to ignore. Even people who had once sympathized with the couple were starting to roll their eyes. Because satire has one superpower. It tells the truth in a way that cuts deeper than any headline ever could. As the criticism grew, Meghan tried to pivot. She launched, and then rebranded, her lifestyle line. First, it was the TIG, then American Riviera Orchard. Now it's as ever. Food, wellness, home decor, wildflower honey in mason jars. all wrapped in curated beige aesthetics and inspirational quotes. But the public wasn't buying it, literally or metaphorically. They didn't see authenticity. They saw desperation. A once powerful public figure now reduced to selling jam and curated candles. And the message was loud and clear. This is branding, not healing. Let's be honest, there's only so much saturation the public can take. In just a few years, Meghan and Harry went from globally admired outcasts to relentless self-promoters. And it wasn't just the number of interviews. It was the tone. Always hurt, always betrayed, always telling our truth. From Oprah to Netflix to Spotify to Apple TV to The Cut to Variety to Time magazine, the message never changed, but the tone got more dramatic. They weren't just survivors of royal cruelty, they were now social justice sages, podcast philosophers, and self-care gurus. And while their team kept pushing the image of resilient underdogs, the public saw something very different. Overexposure, over-branding, over it. Even fans who initially supported their departure from the royal family began to quietly check out. Because every time Meghan launched a new project, every time Harry dropped another revelation, it didn't feel exciting anymore. It felt exhausting. The emotional bandwidth was tapped. The final blow came with the Netflix docuseries and Harry's memoir, Spare. The Netflix show was supposed to be their side of the story. But what viewers got was something else entirely. A $100 million sob story filled with slow-motion shots, designer outfits, and carefully staged, candid moments. Critics called it a PR campaign disguised as a documentary, and they weren't wrong. Then came Spare. And if the docuseries was awkward, the book was downright cringeworthy. Harry revealed private family texts. He trashed his brother. He described losing his virginity behind a pub. Instead of noble or brave, it came off as petty, vindictive, embarrassing. The same public that once saw him as a wounded soldier now saw him as an overgrown man-child airing family drama for clicks. And Meghan? She wasn't even the main focus anymore, because by then, the brand had already started to unravel.
Switching gears, Meghan Markle just announced her new lifestyle brand called As Ever, which is a little confusing because it used to be called American Riviera Orchard. This is true. And before that, it was called The Tig. Yes, confusing. But it's like, it's like food, beauty, wellness, home decor. This is branding, life branding stuff. So we understand it can be hard to name your brand. Did you guys see this? Meghan Markle announced that her As Ever product line sold out in under an hour. It's strange when you marry a prince and you're the breadwinner of the family. Meghan was excited while Prince Harry was like, what the hell am I going to do with 3,000 cases of wildflower honey?
By this point, the internet had turned on them completely. But not in the way it turns on villains. They weren't being hated, they were being mocked relentlessly. TikTok creators used SNL audio for parody skits. Memes flooded Twitter. Clips of Meghan saying, "We want privacy," were looped over footage of her red carpet appearances. It wasn't just backlash. It was meme-ification. They had become characters in their own scandal. And every new project they released just reignited the fire. They had become characters in their own scandal. You'd think they'd pivot, take a step back, reset the strategy. But instead, they leaned in even harder. In the middle of backlash, Meghan launched As Ever. More curated photos, more calligraphy, more soft lighting and pastel jars. No acknowledgement of the noise, no nod to public criticism. Just another layer of aesthetic detachment from reality. The public didn't see strength, they saw insulation. A couple so far inside their own bubble, they'd mistaken criticism for bullying and silence for oppression. And in the eyes of TikTok, that disconnect is golden. Clips of them speaking about privacy in one interview, overlaid with footage from red carpet appearances, podcast promos, and staged docuseries scenes. A whole genre emerged. Contradiction compilations. 10-second edits of Meghan crying in one clip, followed by an eye-roll-worthy quote from her brand's website. People weren't even angry anymore. They were amused, because at some point, the Sussexes stopped being controversial and started being comedy content. And of course, the laughs kept coming regardless. Could they recover? In theory, yes. Public opinion is fickle. Hollywood is built on redemption arcs. But there's one thing Meghan and Harry have never shown: humility. Every appearance doubles down on the same message. We're misunderstood. We've been wronged. We're still the victims. But audiences are tired. They don't want another tell-all. They want someone to finally just stop talking. Because redemption doesn't come from a podcast. It comes from silence, reflection, time. And that's something the Sussexes don't seem willing to give. The irony is brutal. The same media that once lifted Meghan and Harry to mythic status is now the force pulling them down. And comedy? It's simply echoing what the public already feels: disappointment, fatigue, disbelief that two people with so much privilege continue to play the underdog. Their downfall didn't come from one scandal. It came from 1,000 contradictions. From saying one thing and showing another, from crying victim while signing million-dollar deals. And in the end, it only took one joke, one SNL punchline to let everyone know. It was finally okay to laugh. Not because it's cruel, but because the curtain has dropped. The storybook romance is over. And what's left behind is a brand scrambling to stay relevant in a world that's already moved on.
If you like the video, please like and subscribe. We hope to see you again soon.